All right, we are live from the Rusty Bed Studios up in Seattle, Washington. We are going to take a look at President Trump's video interview on Newsmax from, I think, yesterday. It is the 30th right now of June 2022, if you're watching this delayed. I'm just checking in to see if we are broadcasting at all. Let me pull up the YouTube link here. I never know if this is going to work. And it looks like we have good throughput right now. So thanks to producer Denise for making that happen. We are live and we have a couple of people in the chat room. All right, now let's see if those are going through, if the chat's going through. This is a technical setup part of the program. This is the boring part. Sorry, guys. I'm not seeing the chat go through. Let me just do a quick test and then we'll get underway with the interview right here. Okay, and still not going through on our. There we go. It's working. All right, let's get right into it. So the other day, a young lady who was 24 at the time and was a senior aide, a junior deputy aide, whatever you want to call her, she worked for Mark Meadows. She was the hand of Mark Meadows, who was the chief of staff to President Trump. If you didn't see it, you should watch it. It's by far the most entertaining and also the most salacious, but also the most thought provoking, and also the testimony which then links Trump closest to incitement of violence. President Trump, according to this aide, knew, Cassie Hutchinson, knew that the protester, that they were armed with weapons, the protesters, and sent them to the Capitol. Knew that they weren't there to hurt him, but sent them to hurt Mike Pence and others at the Capitol. And this fails the Brandenburg test in every way. The Brandenburg test is the test that the Supreme Court asks when it comes to, hey, Brandenburg v. Ohio, if you want to look it up. Are you inciting violence? Can it be expected to produce violence? There you go. And this right here, yes, they have weapons. Now, anything can be a weapon, of course, your baseball bats, your flags that are actually spears, all of these things that the audience knew were going to be confiscated if they attended the rally within the perimeter of the fence. But they could also see the rally from outside that perimeter. So a whole bunch of people go to that rally and then planning to go to the Capitol. They had weapons with them, but they didn't want to go through the metal detectors. So Trump said, take down the metal detectors. I don't think that was actually done. And if the testimony is correct, this is about 3 or 4 minutes before the rally for Trump actually began. And he was upset looking at the screen because he could see the crowd size. He was upset that the crowd size was not big enough. Subsequently, he has bragged multiple times in multiple formats that it was the biggest crowd size he'd ever seen. Hundreds of thousands of people. But when you see the actual photos from the Parks Department, no, it was not. There were lots and lots of people outside those perimeters, but if you look at the pictures from the actual event, maybe we will. But first, I want to get into the interview. So if you haven't seen the testimony of Cassidy Hutchinson, take a look at it. It happened on Tuesday. It's available on C-SPAN. It's available on YouTube. Go watch the January 6 hearings because it is fascinating, and it puts to bed a whole bunch of different they didn't have any weapons at the Capitol. We also already know because of multiple court cases that there were many weapons at the Capitol. We also know that you can't say they didn't have any weapons at the Capitol because not everybody was strip searched. There was no way to tell. Of course, people had weapons at the Capitol. We've known this since day one, whether those be firearms or otherwise. We know there's been plenty of weapons, and we know that they fashioned weapons out of things like fire extinguishers. These are all weapons. These are all things you can't take through metal detectors, things you can't have on a plane. Those are weapons. But yes, there were many, many firearms. And in the hearing the other day, they played police recordings reporting firearms on the peoples, some of them up in the trees watching Trump so they could get a better view. It is fascinating. But let's see Newsmax here. I'm sorry, this is not even, is this Newsmax or is this is called Wake Up America. This might be a show on Newsmax. I encourage, we're not going to show you the entire video. We're going to skip through that. If you want to see the video, it is available on, this is on Rumble. So you can see it on Rumble. It'll probably be available later on Newsmax. I don't know if this video is from today or yesterday. I don't even know. Here we go. But Marcy, thanks to Marcy for sending it to me. Is Marcy here? Hi, Ann. Hi, Allison. Hi, Stephanie. I don't know if I saw Marcy in here or not, but if she is, thank you to Marcy for linking this. I think it was Marcy. Here we go.
Yeah, a junior staffer, Cassidy Hutchinson, 26 years old. She made some wild secondhand accusations about you.
Crazy.
What'd you make of that?
I thought it was
many firsthand accusations. Not so much accusations as just testimony, relaying her experience and also relaying what she had been told directly from Secret Service agents, or in one case, a Secret Service agent that was no longer a Secret Service agent and had been hired by the Trump administration to work directly for the Trump administration, which, by the way, is a breaking of norms, but is not illegal. So he was such a Trumper that the Trump administration, Trump wanted him hired directly to work for him, so he'd have to sign an NDA, et cetera, et cetera.
absolutely crazy. This committee is, a lot of people say, illegally formed.
It's not at all. It's completely legal. The rules are available on congress.gov. You can go look them up yourself.
But when you look at what they're doing and when you look at what they're saying and what they're
That's what we're doing. We're looking at what they're saying, what they're doing.
to the country. Now, the good news.
I don't know what they're doing to the country. The committee itself doesn't have any effect on any policy, at least so far. No one's going to get arrested because of the committee. Facts will be unveiled because of the committee, but they don't have power to arrest anybody.
Is a lot of people aren't watching. A lot of people aren't listening to it.
Okay, well then, if they're not watching and listening, that's not really doing anything to the country.
But they're trying to do real harm. We went through Russia. We went through Ukraine. We went through the Mueller report.
Right, all of which were damning.
No collusion after.
No, the Mueller report did not look at collusion. It says there, right there on page 2. One of the things I found funny about the hearings was that apparently witnesses are being intimidated and are being told things. Trump reads transcripts. No, he doesn't. He doesn't read entire transcripts. If you testified for 8 hours, he might see about 6 minutes of that and lose interest. So just praise him for the first 6 minutes, and then round about hour 6, mention, oh yeah, you know what? He also told me that I had to go to the Capitol with a gun and shoot people in the head. Just throw that in there, and he's never going to see it.
3 years, 2.5 years, and now we're going through this. It's a one-way sideshow. It's a horrible thing.
I don't know what a one-way sideshow is. There's so many other metaphors and or similes that you could have used there. But a one-way sideshow. Do you mean like a drive-through?
That they can do to the country where they take this kind of time.
Dog and pony show. Just a dog show, which is awesome, by the way. A pony show? I've been to pony shows. Not that fascinating. Once they're actually full-grown horses, and they do that thing where like they slide in the dirt. Oh, that's cool stuff.
They don't talk about making America great anymore. All they do is investigate everybody.
I thought now America is great again because we've taken away a freedom that women have had for the last 50 years. I thought that mission accomplished. We're done, right?
And it's a terrible, terrible thing. This lady.
By the way, in case YouTube is watching, all of what you're hearing Trump saying, I am disagreeing with it. I am not advocating that an election was stolen. I am not advocating that he is innocent of any charges once they're presented. I am not. I'm debunking what he's saying. Okay? So this broadcast is an exploration and a transformative view of his words and the interview on Newsmax or wherever. Yeah, it is Newsmax. They put a logo up there for me. So thank you, Newsmax, for getting this.
Yesterday, there's something wrong with her? Is there something wrong?
It doesn't appear to be something wrong with her. She seemed incredibly composed. And the only one so far brave enough to come forward and publicly testify from within that administration's offices, the West Wing.
She said,
if you watched the hearings a couple of days ago, last week, I believe it was, the gentleman who came forward from the Department of Justice, very brave.
I jumped from.
Now, brave now would have been great If they'd been that brave back on January 3rd of last year, maybe we would never have had January 6th if they had made public what Trump was up to. Probably still would have. There's no shaming Trump out of office. There's no shaming Trump into anything because he feels no shame. Look at his face.
A car and I started strangling. Think of this. I started strangling a Secret Service agent who I know very well. I grabbed the steering wheel of a car that said that I wanted guns at my rally. I didn't want guns. I have to speak to, and I don't want guns for anybody.
There's a bulletproof glass.
Steering wheel? Is there any truth
Of course
to that?
not.
Is that ridiculous?
In fact, the Secret Service came out and said that this story is totally false.
Yeah.
The woman is living in fantasy land. She's a social.
Well, she's just relaying what was told to her by the guy you hired. And if anything holds true about the Trump's judgment, it's that it's terrible. Person after person who worked for Trump has turned out to be a terrible liar. So maybe this secret security agent, or at the time, I believe, employee of Trump, I'd have to look back and see exactly when that transition took place. Maybe he lied to Cassidy Hutchinson. Could be. But she just told us what she was told.
Climber, if you call that social.
There were pictures of Trump leaving the rally. I'd love to see all of those off cameras and see if anybody caught him with his hands forward. Really hard to tell, especially through the armor-plated glass. But it would be great if we saw this. You know, if you see from the front before the SUV turns as it's pulling out of the ellipse and going back to the White House or into one of those secret tunnels or whatever. If you see the Secret Service agent sitting there and this little tiny hand trying to grab the steering wheel.
I think it's just a shame that this is happening to our country. And we don't have any Republicans up there to dispute.
There are 2 Republicans on the committee. Nancy Pelosi offered positions for 5 more. Kevin McCarthy submitted 5. Nancy Pelosi said yes to 3, no to 2 others, Jim Jordan and Jim Banks, because they are material witnesses. That is to say, they are suspects, and their names have come up in testimony multiple times, including from Cassidy Hutchinson, who had firsthand knowledge of talking to Jim Jordan on January 6th on Mark Meadows' phone, live. That's firsthand. That's not hearsay. And that's why they couldn't be on the committee. That's a direct conflict of interest. And Kevin McCarthy said, no, I'm not going to give you 2 more because Nancy Pelosi said, give me 2 different ones. And he pulled all 5 back. If you have a problem with no Republicans, in your viewpoint, being on the committee, you got a problem with Kevin McCarthy. We might get a chance to watch a Kevin McCarthy interview from yesterday because I love watching Kevin McCarthy and his attempts to speak English. Hi, Eve.
We have one who quit, Kinzinger, and we have another one who's down by 35 points
Liz
in
Cheney.
Wyoming. She's a
This reporter's so concerned. Yeah, Liz Cheney. Just put on a serious face. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Doing so. I'm sure it'll be nothing but hardball questions here, and there won't be any bias on it one way or the other.
total disaster. She's a train wreck. But think of it.
So remember how everybody on CNN is a shill for the Democratic Party or the Democrat Party? Remember, this is what the right claims. Just a couple of days ago, Jake Tapper asked some very tough questions to Jamie Raskin about the whole SUV. Keep in mind, the SUV incident, whether it happened or not, is irrelevant. It's not even technically illegal unless the vehicle's in motion and Trump grabbed the steering wheel and attempted to steer the car as the vehicle was moving. That's probably a traffic violation of some kind. But it doesn't matter. The big things here are that Trump knew there were weapons and sent the people with the weapons to the Capitol. That is incitement of a riot, without question. And that leads to, is it sedition? Is it insurrection? Yes, because why are you doing it? In order to cause the overthrow of the election. So yes, that's sedition. To take down another branch of the government. Yes, that's sedition. And on top of that, the other, and we knew this before, but now we have closer to firsthand testimony directly outside the room where Trump is located, having Trump say, Mark Meadows saying that Trump said, and this is firsthand testimony when he's telling them, when he says, and she is within earshot, that Trump thought that Mike Pence deserved to die. That a president thought a vice president deserved to die because he would not swing the election for him. All in a day's work.
Nobody to cross-examine. Professor
Not a trial.
Dershowitz said you can't do where you have a hearing and there's no cross-examination.
Yes, you can. Of course you can. It's completely within the rules. You could have had 5 Republicans on the committee, including, or not even including Liz Cheney and Adam, who are already Republicans and sitting there. And you're like, oh, they're not Republicans anymore. Okay, fine, but they are. I mean, let's just stick with reality. But even if we live in your reality, there could have been 5 of your Republicans on the committee. You could have put 5 white males. Kevin McCarthy said no.
This would have been the...
Yeah, Eve says the Secret Service guy said Trump's girth wouldn't have allowed him to grab the wheel. A little bit of a cell phone. Anyway, so the right has been using that interview with Jake Tapper to they can't even convince CNN's Jake Tapper. Even the shills. Well, if Jake Tapper is asking tough questions, obviously CNN is not in the Democrats' pocket. You want to see somebody in the pocket? Let's just watch the rest of this interview.
The easiest cross-examination anywhere. And they put her on, and they don't even confirm it with the Secret Service. The Secret Service people in the car said this didn't happen. But
we haven't heard them say that under oath. But then now we have to say it's a he said, she said. And quite frankly, she's more believable because she's nothing to gain here. She's putting her life in danger. She will now begin to receive death threats and possibly somebody acting upon those threats. Because if this goes to trial, if Trump is ever indicted, she will become a witness in a criminal trial. Her testimony could determine whether Trump is ever able to run for president again or not. I shouldn't even be saying that. I'm in Seattle, and I don't know if I have COVID or it's just the allergies. I think it's the allergies. But my nose is just starting to get a little stuffy. It's probably COVID.
You don't even need that. Who would do that? I would grab a Secret Service person by the throat.
I don't even know if it's possible. Certainly not in the Beast.
It's very hard.
Even in one of the SUVs.
Well, it's very hard.
They were in the SUV.
For another reason. These guys lift 350 pounds.
Right.
I don't.
You can't reach from behind on someone's clavicle. You can't get that from behind because somebody benches 350 pounds? What? Why? What are you talking about? What does that even mean? What kind of defense is that? The defense of why would I do that? Why would anybody do that? That's a decent defense. You're right. It doesn't make any sense. What kind of idiot would do that? You're not going to be able to steer. But grabbing someone from behind, I can't because he can lift 350 pounds. Yeah, because you know how Secret Service agents are always like lifting 350 pounds with their neck. What?
Get out of the SUV tonight. It seemed like it was pretty smooth.
Yeah,
it's
fine. I mean, but you know, these are people.
Oh, he couldn't have done it then because he didn't do it tonight. Unloading. Problem solved. You're a liar, Cassidy Hutchinson. That's sarcasm. YouTube. Sarcasm.
Great people. These are great people. They've devoted their lives to it. And I think.
And they wouldn't take you to the Capitol where you wanted to go. We know for a fact that's what happened. You even said it in the rally. So for you to be upset because it's not happening, we've seen you upset before, sir.
They were very embarrassed by it because it makes them sound terrible.
Tony Ornato and Bobby Engel.
It doesn't make them sound terrible at all.
They're great. I know them very well.
Sterling.
They are sterling. And I was very nice that they came to my defense. I thought it was incredible.
See, again, hard hitting. Those guys have sterling records, sir.
Actually, because, you know, some whack job can say this stuff and get away with it. And
she's a whack job now. She worked there in the administration, brought in by Mark Meadows and probably approved by Trump. I don't even know. He says he approves everybody. It's a very fine-tuned, well-oiled machine, is what he said.
Things that I wanted guns at my rally. Okay, now I'm speaking. Why would I want guns? I don't want people standing with guns.
Because you wanted everybody to come in and fill up the space, because you always talk about crowd size. That's your thing, man.
In my rally.
I don't remember seeing any AR-15s at the Capitol.
Well, she wasn't complaining. And
oh, wait, you didn't see any AR-15s at the Capitol. So the police reporting it at the time, they were lying. Good job back in the blue, buddy.
The other thing about this woman, she wanted to work for me after January 6th. She was a big Trump fan. She wanted to work for me.
Right, she's a big Trump fan, and she's testifying what she saw because it's the right thing to do.
Florida, and we chose not to bring her down because I got very bad things. I hardly knew her.
You got very bad things, did you?
And I said, well, if she's no good, I got somebody called up, numerous people, that she's not good. I won't say why that she's not good, but plenty of reasons.
Why?
Okay, yeah, why? Thank you. Oh my God. Oh my God. He just said, I won't say why. And the guy just asked why. Awesome work, reporter guy. I'm shocked. I want to know too, but oh my God, that's not a softball.
I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to say
He's not going to answer it. Oh well. Nice try though, guy.
That she was not respected by the people in the White House. So they thought she shouldn't go down. I was going down to Florida with a group of people, great group of people, patriots.
What? Why not say why? You're trying to slam this woman now. Why not say why?
And
now I want to know that more than anything else having to do with January 6th.
Her name was thrown out there, and they said, stay away from her.
Who said that? Who called? Who said stay away from her?
They said bad things about her.
What bad things?
And then I see her, and I hardly know who she is.
She literally worked 30 feet down the hall, sometimes 20 feet down the hall. When you were in the dining room, she was 20 to 30 feet away. You would see her on a daily basis. Even if you never moved past the dining room, you would see her in the hallway. You would see her in meetings. She would be there with Mark Meadows. Did you just never talk to your chief of staff? Because you claim that you have. Even Mick Mulvaney, after seeing the testimony the other day, if you remember, Mick Mulvaney worked in the White House and left after January 6th, disgusted with it. He's now to the point where Trump should probably be charged, is what he's saying.
And then I see this woman getting up, and she's making up stories like one after another. But the craziest of all was that I tried to commandeer, I think they used that word, I tried to commandeer.
Who used that word? I don't remember that word in the actual hearing, but okay, maybe, that's fine. But that would be a good word for it.
A car with Secret Service agents telling them to take us down to the Capitol. It was totally false, and that a person can get away with it. And then I watch the Times and the Washington Post, and I get reviews on.
You watch the Times, do you? Some of us read the Times, but okay.
On MSD.
They do have some videos. MSDNC, you call it MSDNC because Democratic, yeah.
NC and CNN, they hardly even talk about the fact that she's been totally discredited.
No one has discredited her.
So it's a very sad thing that this is allowed to take place in our country, that somebody can just get there without...
With the freedom of speech, yeah.
Cross-examination with no Republicans on the committee, which I think was a mistake.
No, yeah, Kevin McCarthy should have put his 5 Republicans on the committee, and there's two there already. There are Republicans on the committee. By the way, all this is just incredibly easy to fact check. Fox News right now is again going after Joe Biden for lying about inflation in other countries. And once again, he's not. They just, because of their filter, they're not hearing the words that Joe Biden is saying. We might take a look at that later.
I think we should have had Republicans on the committee.
Jim Banks, Jim Jordan.
I think they should do something.
No, they were disallowed. But there were 3 other Republicans, and Nancy Pelosi asked for 2 more. There were going to be a total of 7 Republicans on the committee. And Kevin McCarthy said, nope, I'm taking my football and I'm going football.
Is this going to go on forever? Is this going to just keep going on and on? They get one person. They have to ask her, why did she want to go so badly with the Trump organization to Florida? She was all set to go, and then we determined that we didn't want her.
Do you think those...
Have you published that information? Have you shown the application? Do you have phone records that you could share? And by the way, you're welcome to come to the committee and refute all of this. They have an open door policy. At the end of each hearing, they say, if anybody else, and that includes you, Mr. President, in fact, next time he should say that, including the president, if you want to give us any information we don't already have, we would love it.
Secret Service agents will get the opportunity to testify?
I hope they do. I hope they can testify. I think the woman is, she's got serious problems. Let me put it that way.
What did you make of Fox
Mental
News?
problems.
Yeah. What did you make of Fox News and other media outlets latching onto this story? I heard Brett Baer last night say,
this is literally all you've talked about so far. For 5 minutes and 18 seconds, you've just talked about the SUV story.
Well, why would she risk perjury? She could go to jail. And I'm sitting there at home thinking to myself, well, this is a Democratic panel. They're not going to charge their own star witness with perjury.
They can't charge. They can't. The Department of Justice has to do that. They can refer in a criminal referral. They can write a letter to the Department of Justice. But you know what that has in terms of legal bindingness? Zero. Nothing. It means nothing. The letter of criminal referral literally means butt kiss in the real world.
Even if it is true.
I heard that Brett Baer said that, which is obviously strange. I look, Brett Baer. Here's the story.
I mean, look, Brett Baer, okay.
Sorry. It didn't happen. Other things didn't happen. They said that I encouraged people to have guns. I didn't encourage people. Never spoke to anybody about it.
Right.
I didn't encourage anybody to have guns.
Nobody said you encouraged people to have guns.
And I'm one of the speakers. I don't want people out there with guns for me either.
You were behind bulletproof glass.
Right.
But I don't want, maybe more importantly, for other people.
Wait a minute. You don't want people to have guns? Because what I've heard is there's a siege on the Second Amendment. But now you're saying you don't want people to have guns, sir?
To get hurt. I don't want that to happen.
But they have the right to protect themselves, sir. With crime skyrocketing in Democrat cities like Washington, D.C., where the homicide rate is up 5,000%. This is what I've heard.
You look at the fact that I recommended from 10 to 20,000 troops be there. Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of D.C. turned it down.
Yep.
No.
All of these things took place.
That is complete nonsense.
They turned it down.
We're not hearing about that during these hearings.
They don't even cover it.
How can you cover something that never happened?
Refuse to mention it. You'll never see it. You rarely see it in the face.
Show us the paperwork, sir. If there was anything official signed that went over to the Capitol, there would be a record of it at the White House if you didn't tear it up, eat it, and or flush it down the toilet 12 to 15 times. There would be records of it. Still waiting.
Think of it. If they put not 10,000 troops or 20,000 troops, I recommended between 10 and 20 in front of numerous witnesses, in front of people, and in front of the people that actually
numerous witnesses in front of the people. Okay, and
do that.
And why wasn't any paperwork filed on it then? Or did you just hire incompetent people? Like this lady who obviously has mental problems that you just, again, that worked in your West Wing.
If we would have had...
Why do you keep hiring people with mental problems? Why would we make you president again if you just hire a bunch of people with mental problems?
Not 10,000 troops, but 500. 500. Tiny proportion of that. You wouldn't have January 6th, as it is called.
That's the date. What do you want to call it? Come up with some suggestions and we'll change it. Insurrection Day, the Drivel War, whatever. Come on, throw it out there. We'll certainly consider it.
It wouldn't have even existed. There wouldn't have been a problem. They didn't like the look of it. They said, well, we don't like the look of it. And I could...
Is that what they said? They didn't like the look of it. They said, we don't like the look of it. In other words, they didn't like the look of it. Because they said, we don't like the look of it. This is like stuff Monty Python would do. what was in the Reynolds? They use Eric Idle loves this joke where the reporter says something and then the actual person being interviewed says exactly that. Afterwards, the Reynolds were shocked and stunned. Well, we're shocked. Yeah, shocked. And stunned. Yeah, stunned. Trump does it on himself. I can't remember what he said now. Oh, I only miss Trump because he made me laugh so much. Let's see if Rumble let me go back just a bit here. Let's see. Yeah, it will. Okay.
Actually do that.
Yeah.
So if we would have had not 10,000 troops, but 500.
Yes.
500, tiny proportion of that,
Uh-huh.
you wouldn't
I can do that math quickly for you if you want me to, sir. No? Okay, moving on.
have January 6th, as it is called.
Why? Why add that on there? We wouldn't have had January 6th. You're trying to belittle it. You're trying to, you're, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't even know. No, you're trying to belittle it. You're trying to, you're trying to come up with something else for it. You're trying to somehow make it seem smaller than it is, which is belittling. I don't know. There's another word that I know in my head that I can't get at right now because I'm old. Not even minimize it. That's the same thing as belittle. But thank you, Stephanie, for the attempt. But there's a way of you discredit it. That's not the word I'm looking for, but there's a very specific word when you downplay a phrase. The way you would COVID, for instance. Trivialize is also very good too. That's a good one. So yeah, you're trying to belittle it, you're trying to trivialize it and minimize it and discredit it. Sir, it's just that was the date. It was a big enough event that day when you say January 6th to somebody, we know what they're talking about. Hey, what about July the 4th? What'd you think of July the 4th? They're not talking about July the 4th, 1878. We get it now. 9/11. We're not talking about calling for an emergency. We're talking about 9/11, 2001. And now we have January 6th because of you, sir. So you're not going to be able to trivialize or minimize that.
It wouldn't have even existed. There wouldn't have been a problem.
No, January 6th would have still happened. Keep in mind, they were doing your bidding.
They didn't like the look of it. They said, well, we don't like
optics. They didn't like the optics. That's what he said. They didn't like the look of it. They said, we don't like the looks of it. Because, in other words, they didn't like the looks of it. In terms of the looks, they didn't like it.
The look of it. And I could feel there was a big crowd forming. It just
so that 4 seconds of his speech just took us 3.5 minutes. So we're making progress here, kids. We are we're just halfway. We've just hit the halfway mark of the interview.
Felt like a lot of people were talking about January 6th. And the thing they don't talk about is
or is that what they call it, January 6th?
Is the incredible size of the group of people that I spoke to. Because I think it was
the crowd size, which is what Cassidy Hutchinson talked about, which was the reason you wanted to take out the metal detectors.
The biggest, or certainly one of the biggest groups I've ever spoken before. And
it wasn't. It was quite small in terms of being in the fenced area.
And I've spoken to big crowds. Like, few people have spoken to bigger. And this was, I think, at the top of the list or very close to it. And from there, a small group, relatively speaking, a small group went down to the Capitol.
Like 10,000.
But for this girl to sit there and just...
She's girl now.
I think just make up stories. You know, many years ago, there was a man named John Lovitz.
Yeah.
And he did a routine called The Liar.
Yeah.
She should look at it. She should look at it.
That's SNL.
Why? By the way, John Lovitz, very funny. But you know, he was she's talking about the liar that yeah, that's the ticket. Trump was in the SUV. Yeah, that's the ticket. Okay, why should she look at that? Because she didn't do that at all.
Now, how much of this is about trying to prevent you from running?
He's just so happy. He does the happy jiggle. This is the reporter. This is what you want to do as a reporter. Do the happy jiggle, like you've just had your favorite ice cream.
Lovitz.
Yeah.
And he did a routine called The Liar.
Yeah.
She should look at it. She should look at it.
That's SNL. How much of this is about trying to prevent you from running again?
I'm on TV.
Oh, I think a lot
in
of it
2024.
is, yeah. I'm leading in all the polls.
Every poll.
Against Republicans and Democrats. I'm leading in the Republican polls at numbers that nobody's ever even seen before.
Yeah. No, DeSantis just beat you in a couple of polls. Handily. This is hurting you. Honestly, speaking apolitically, it's probably better that the Democrats just stop it right now. Let Trump remain on top of the Republican Party. Because Trump is tiny compared to the damage that Ron DeSantis will do.
And against
and you're just clearing the path for Ron DeSantis at this point.
Biden and anybody else that they run, I'm leading against them. No, this is just a way of look at the dishonesty of this.
A way of what?
Committee. They don't talk about any of the things that refute January 6th. They don't talk about the election.
Well, we saw January 6th.
Numbers. They don't analyze the election. The people were there because the election was.
Well, the election has been analyzed multiple times. And apart from someone named Joe Van Pulitzer, whose name actually isn't Pulitzer and has written multiple books on treasure hunting, with his kinetic scanning of the bamboo fibers because the ballots had folds in them. No, the election happened. The election was not rigged. All 50 states certified it. The governors and the secretaries of state, as per the state constitutions, the election is done. It's over. Biden won.
Rigged and stolen.
No.
So what they should be doing is trying to convince people that it wasn't. You do that through analyzing the numbers. They don't want to do.
Or just the certification process, which is kind of what January 6th was.
Do that. In fact,
you had, and it happened, you had the right to launch protests against those votes within the House and the Senate. And who knows how things would have gone. I mean, it would have been voted out. They have to vote it as reject the electors in both the House and the Senate. They have 2 hours of debate in the House, 2 hours in the Senate per state. So that even if they'd objected to 5, could have been 10 hours, but could have gotten it done. They stuck around. The whole thing was interrupted by Trump's people. Who knows? Who knows what could have happened, because many senators who were going to object in the first place were like, I'm not objecting to anything else, because I just want to get this done. This is a mess. We just about got killed today.
They don't even want to hear that. And Fox doesn't put it on. And by the way, you people don't put it on either. You're afraid of being sued or something. I don't know, someday.
They have been sued, and they've had to settle, and they've had to release a statement saying Dominion voting machines did not change the election results.
You'll have to explain that.
This is 2000.
In fact, they'll probably cut what I'm saying.
This is what? Now the reporter's like, what? What are we talking about? I can't talk about the Newsmax had to issue an apology. I have it somewhere, but not on this laptop.
That, and Fox doesn't put it on. And by the way, you people don't put it on either. You're afraid of being sued or something. I don't know, someday you'll have to explain that.
This is 2000.
Explain it right now.
In fact, they'll probably cut what I'm saying out
of course
right
not.
now out of
No,
Newsmax.
no, of course not. This will be on Wake Up America tomorrow morning, sir. Absolutely.
And they didn't cut it out. Good for them.
Not.
Good. Get it done
I will
fast.
not allow that.
Get it done fast before Chris sees it, okay? But they might cut it out, and let's just see. I hope they put it on.
Yeah.
But this was about a rigged and stolen election that millions and millions of people felt is true. I saw a number, I think it was 78%.
Yeah, but just because millions of people feel something doesn't make it true. Do you understand how feelings and facts are two different things?
Of the Republican Party felt that. That's a big.
Oh, they felt it. You didn't say that a certain percentage felt it. Now that I know that many people who voted for you felt that it was rigged and stolen, well, I guess it was. It wasn't. It was not, YouTube. Do not give me a community strike. The election was not rigged and stolen.
That's a big thing. And if that's the case, and by the way, large numbers of Democrats and very large numbers of independents. So if that's the case, nobody wants to have a country where they think the elections are rigged and stolen. So they should be going over and analyzing the numbers. The reason they don't do it is they can't win, because we have, if you look at 2000.
They've already won. What are you talking about?
and mules, if you look at the ballot stuffing, if you look at all of these different things that we have, many, many different things that we have, you look at all of the affidavits by the thousands, you take a look at it, you can't lose that. The one thing they
What? You can't lose that?
don't want to talk about when they talk about silencing, the one thing they don't want to talk about are the election results because they can't win.
They did win. Literally 100% of Republican governors certified the election. All 27 of them. All 29 Republican secretaries of state certified the election. Congress certified the election, despite your best attempts to overthrow the election results. Didn't happen.
The judges were afraid of it.
Judges weren't afraid of it. The judges heard the evidence, and there was none. Still waiting, by the way, still waiting for all of this evidence with Giuliani had in his hand that he was going to show everybody at the Four Seasons landscaping business.
Everybody's afraid of it. Your network's afraid of it. Fox is afraid of it. They don't want to talk about the election results. And that's the thing they should be talking about because our country should feel that we have safe and secure.
So here's the response to that, sir. All 27 Republican governors certified the election, all 27 of them. What kind of a leader are you when governors in your own party refuse to follow your orders? Were willing to risk jail time, losing their jobs, and a lifetime of disgrace just so that you wouldn't be in power anymore. How bad of a leader are you, sir?
Elections, say it.
Do you think we should still be talking about it? Just because I think there is so much more that we can talk about.
No, I
maybe
agree.
with that, maybe in conjunction. But what's happened, sir?
But you don't want it to happen again.
I couldn't agree more. And what's happened in the last 18 months, I didn't envision.
I'm not sure what that was. Hold on. The audio dropped out on my end. I don't know if you guys heard it, but it's like halfway through a sentence.
Talk about
no, I
maybe
agree.
with that, maybe in conjunction. But what's happened, sir?
But you don't want it to happen again.
I couldn't agree more. And what's happened in the last 18 months,
I'm not sure if that was just an audio glitch or if they edited it there or not. I don't know. Because it sounds like he said ever, but there's no reason for it there. I don't know.
I didn't envision it. Your last day in office, 1.4% inflation. Election day 2020, gas is $2.39 a gallon. It's $5 a gallon now. This happened, Jimmy Carter, it took him 4 years to ruin the economy. It's taken Joe Biden 17 months.
That's terrible. And by the way, I agree with you. I agree. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about it.
He doesn't want to spend a lot of time talking about the election.
People have to recognize what happened. And because of that, and because of what happened, our country's a mess. We had more energy than anybody.
Still do.
And now we're asking.
We were, in their eyes, we were energy independent. We weren't. That's not what independence means. But we were exporting more oil in 2020 than we were importing oil in 2020 for the first time in a long time. Those two lines crossed, and now one is there. I'm doing the graph for you. It's like there we go. There we go. So we were exporting more than we were importing. And that was 2020. Guess what happened in 2021 when Biden was in office? We exported more than we imported. It's the same thing. And they keep saying we need to be energy independent again. We were. We probably still are. We won't know because it's 2022 right now. But odds are very good we export more this year. So far, the exports just keep going up and up and up and up. And we're now not taking any Russian oil, which was 6% of the oil that we were bringing into the country. So, yeah, we're going to be energy independent, which is not energy independence, again this year.
Saudi Arabia to send us oil, please. We're asking Venezuela, unthinkable, send us oil. We need your oil. We have it under, I call it liquid gold. We have it under our feet.
Right.
Oh, you do call it that? Wow, what an inventive term for that. I've never heard that before. Texas tea.
We were energy independent. We were soon going to be energy dominant, bigger than Saudi Arabia.
We still are energy independent, per your definition.
And Russia combined within a very short period of time. So when I see that.
Here's the thing, though. we extracted more oil. We're extracting more oil right now. Let's go to the present day. Under Biden, right now, this month, last month, we are extracting more oil from the ground, more barrels per day than Trump did in 40 of 48 of his months. In 83% of his time in office, Trump took less oil out of the ground than Biden is taking out right now. If you want to give presidents, it's actually corporations. Presidents don't control it at all. But we're doing numbers way above Trump's 18th month in office.
But it all happened because of a bad election.
So does that mean 2024, 2.5 years from now? You haven't said anything. You hinted Saturday night in Mendon, Illinois.
He hasn't said anything. So I said all kinds of things.
Are Melania and Barron on board with a possible run again in 2.5 years?
Well, they love our country and they hate to see what's happening. So at the right time, I'll be saying what I want to do. But they do. They love our country. Both. Barron's a young man.
Yep.
And Melania is a first lady who is really loved.
Yes.
I will say that. I see the signs. We love our first lady. But they love our country. So I think they'll do what has to be done if we decide to go that way.
Could you envision a world, sir, where there is a Trump-DeSantis ticket in 2024?
Well, I get along with him. I was very responsible for his success because I endorsed him and he went up like a rocket ship, just like I endorsed Mary Miller the other day, who supposedly was not going to win and she won.
She won.
Just like Darren Bailey is doing great. He just won.
Yeah.
I don't think Trump's going to announce on July 4th. Otherwise, they'd already have a rally planned for that day and a lot of fanfare. July 4th is a terrible day for news. So, okay, that's what Alex Jones says. And he says that frogs cause gay as well. So,
I think he's going to beat Pritzker, one of the worst governors of the country.
The Democrats apparently wanted that race. Several of these races.
They say that.
They're missing something.
No, they like to say that. They always like to say that. They take somebody that's doing well and they say, he's the one we want. It's called disinformation, just like Russia.
That's not what disinformation is.
Russia. It's disinformation.
Right.
They said it about Mastriano, who's great. Mastriano.
He's in Pennsylvania. He's the gubernatorial nominee for the Republican Party in Pennsylvania. And he's a crazy whack job QAnon Trump guy.
In Pennsylvania. They said, oh, it was obvious. I endorsed him. It was obvious he was going to win. And they said it about him in Pennsylvania. Oh, we want him. They don't want him. It's just the opposite. But they say we want him or we want Bailey. And that's not the way it works. But I think we're going to have some tremendous candidates and some very successful candidates.
Just final question. Would you support Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu running again in Israel?
Well, I was disappointed.
I'm good friends with Benjamin Netanyahu, and they named Trump Heights after me.
Pointed with him in certain ways, but overall, I liked him very much. And I would, if he ran, I would certainly give it some thought. We'll see what happens. I don't
give it some thought, and we'll see what happens. And I don't know. Okay, thanks for the commitment on that, sir.
I know that that's going.
Always speaks his mind. Always says what he means.
Going to happen. He disappointed me in certain ways, but he also did a very good job in other ways.
Mr. President, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
That's that. Yeah, if you want to watch the entire interview, you can go to Newsmax and see that happen. Let's jump out of here and let's go. What am I watching this on? Here we go. Get away from this. Make that small. Let's go over here to the YouTubes. No, I don't want to sign in. I'm already signed in. I haven't been signed out of that account. Okay, never mind. Never mind. We're not going to watch that. Yeah. Let's see. It's now 11:49. I got some other stuff to do. All right, we watched the interview. Shall we? Oh, hold on. Maybe I'm signed in. Let me do this. Let me leave that up there for you. And how do I do this? You can just look at my desktop for a second. Are you? Where is... Come on. Hold on. Let me see what you guys can see. Okay, yeah, that's nice. That's pleasant. How's everybody doing? Go ahead and talk amongst yourselves for just a second. Now I can't get the browser at all. There it is. Let me see if I can bring it up and not have to have you guys wait for me to sign in. No, I do have to sign in, so give me a moment here. And it's coming up. And let's see at 10 a.m. Yeah, let's just watch America Reports, and I will we'll do a little analysis on that. So here it comes. You guys should be able to see it about now.
Difficult to prepare that much produce.
Sorry, so loud in my ears. Anyway, I'm going to turn it down for you guys. Let's go back and see if we can find when they're talking about the inflation. Here we go. This is, oh yeah, perfect. Here we go. This is, again, this has happened before. I've pointed it out to them before. I guess they don't read my tweets. You would think that somebody would listen to the words that Biden is saying. But nobody does. Here it is.
Almost every other country.
Hold on. Let's go back. Right here.
At 806-4851.
Trust you not to.
Hold on. I got to turn it down in my ears. It's way louder. It looks like it's okay for you volume-wise. If it's bad for you guys, let me know.
I can understand why the American people are frustrated because of inflation. But inflation is higher in almost every other country. Prices at the pump are higher in almost every other country.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. But hold on. Let's let him finish. What else has he got to say about that?
We're better positioned to deal with this than anyone, but we have a way to go.
Well, that was the president.
Okay. All right. What he said was accurate. But let's hear what they heard with their filter.
In Madrid yesterday, downplaying inflation concerns in a speech that happened this morning, actually, after claiming rates are lower here in the United States than any other country in the world. But
not what he said. Let's go back and listen again. That is absolutely not what he said. Let's listen. Now, listen. Does he say that rates are lower in the United States than in the other countries? Oh, now we're going back even further. Hold on. Go ahead and play.
We're better positioned to deal with this than anyone, but
we're going to have to hear the pill ad again. Give me a second. Here we go.
I can understand why the American people are frustrated because of inflation. But inflation is higher in almost every other country.
Inflation is higher in every... Stop.
Asleep, wake.
Those are the words he says. Inflation is higher in almost every other country. Those are the exact words that he says. He doesn't say higher than here in every other country. He says inflation is higher in every other country. It is. It absolutely is. Japan has a lower inflation rate than we have. Last time I looked, it was 2.4%. But it used to be 0.4% in Japan. Now it is higher than it was in Japan. Britain has a higher inflation rate than it did. Brazil has a higher inflation rate than it did. Everybody in the G7 has a higher inflation rate than they did. That's what he's saying. He's not comparing them to us in terms of our inflation rate is 8.3% and their inflation rate is 8.4%. He's not saying that. They're putting words into his mouth, but only in their brain machines. I don't know why they can't see this. When you hear somebody say something, you say, what? That can't be right. Is that what he's saying? Ask yourself. Do a little bit on asking. Could he mean it some other way that I'm just not comprehending? Because the automatic default in my head is Biden's insane. Yeah, just listen to the words. You don't even have to make that leap. You are projecting onto him something he's clearly not saying. I guess, I guess it doesn't want to play.
In any other country in the world, but the latest data shows that is simply not true.
Okay, inflation rate in the UK, 7.8%. It was lower. Germany, 7.4%. It was lower. Canada, 6.8%, which is higher than it was. You compare any of these numbers to last year at this time. All of them are higher. Japan is now 2.5%. That's higher than 2.4%, which was last month. That's all true, all 100% true with all of those countries.
See it on the screen there. G7 countries.
That's what Biden's saying. He never says compared to us.
Whose leaders met earlier this week.
And then he says gas is higher. It is. That's absolutely accurate. Gas is up worldwide. Gas is higher worldwide. Some places compared to us, some places not compared to us.
You'll see America ranks the highest of those countries on the list. Let's bring in Steve Forbes now, editor-in-chief.
Oh, welcome, Marcy. There she is.
And chairman of Forbes Media. He's the author of
This is the guy who thought a flat tax would work.
Inflation. For those keeping track, welcome to you, Steve.
Nice
Certainly, the United States is seeing much higher inflation rate than just those countries listed there. So why is the president?
Yeah, some of them, sure. Yeah, but the president isn't saying that we're having a lower inflation rate than those other countries. He's saying that inflation in those countries is higher than it was, that it's gone up. That's what he's saying.
President making this claim?
Because
he's not making that claim.
Because he doesn't realize in this modern age you can fact check those things pretty quickly.
Well, why not just fact check what he said instead of the words that you're putting into his mouth? Why? Why not?
And it's not just those European countries. You have the Scandinavian countries, Finland, Sweden, Norway, all have lower rates. Japan has.
But they have higher rates than they used to. That's what he's saying. It boggles me. It's just, how can people with that level of understanding how the human language works, the old saying from Spock in Star Trek, it might even have been Sarek, his dad. I think it was his dad. This thing you call language, you depend upon it for so much, but is any one of you its master? No. Nobody's a master of language, except maybe myself. I don't want to minimize the words that I use, belittle, or there's a word I'm looking for, but I can't. But I'm really good with language, is what I'm saying. Let's jump out of here. Let's go watch Kevin McCarthy from yesterday. It was on, what's the show at 4 o'clock Pacific? It's 7 o'clock Eastern on Fox. It's with Jesse Waters, and it's Fox something or other. Fox. Not Fox at Night. What if we just look for Jesse Waters? Will we find it that way? Jesse Waters Primetime. That's what it's called. Let's go to yesterday because Kevin McCarthy was on there. I haven't watched this yet.
You're home tonight. That's with this special report. Fair balance.
Always comedy gold when Kevin McCarthy is on. Okay. Stop the Steer. That's the joke they're going with there. Full of Schiff. That's the joke that they go with every night. Okay, here we go. Kevin McCarthy is going to tell us that when he's in power, I haven't seen it, but I'm sure he's going to tell us when he's in power, he's going to lower gas prices. Why not just let us know now? What's the plan? Let us know. They never do.
I saw it on Twitter and others. But an interesting thought.
No, okay, well, I guess we got to go back a little bit.
Kevin McCarthy is the House Minority Leader and soon to be...
hold on. Problem with the recording. Report it here, and we'll take a look. All right, well, now what happened? No, what? Why? I dismissed it, and it's now taking me to this. Can I go back here? Hold on, folks. This is YouTube TV doing this. What if no, it says it's on Jesse Waters Primetime. And it just switched to the other. What if I do this? Bear with me, people.
Soon to be Speaker of
the House. There we go. It worked.
Did you catch any of this Cassidy testimony? What'd you think?
No, I was working most of the day, so I saw it on Twitter and others. But an interesting...
Didn't watch it. He's the leader of the minority my brain just broke. Like, how do you not watch it? You're going to be asked about it. You could have had 5 additional of your people on the committee, and you don't bother to watch it. All right. Okay. All right. Great.
Thought. Remember who they hired to put this on? An ABC producer who, prior to being hired in 2019, I sent a letter to ABC because this is the same producer that had all the Epstein information but kept it out.
You're right.
Kept it out. They kept it out, guys.
And think of the similarities when you have Adam Schiff on this committee. Remember
Adam Schiff? Who is Adam Schiff? There's no such person.
When he said, we have a whistleblower coming forward in the impeachment, and he didn't know who it was, and then later we found out the staff had met with him and coached him? Or remember when Adam...
Okay, but Adam Schiff said, I don't know who it is.
Adam Schiff changed the text on what Jim Jordan said? And remember this.
I'm still trying to look into that because there's all this talk about it, but I haven't actually seen the evidence that it happened.
Committee did the same thing to Jim Jordan?
Jesse's show is calling it the January 6th fairy tale. That's a fairy tale story that she told, which it was not.
Or what about when he lied to the American public as chair of the
If only you had 5 of your people on the committee, Kevin. This is entirely his fault.
Intel Committee, saying the Hunter Biden whole article was Russia collusion.
Right.
Or remember when he said he had
What whole article? Are we talking about the laptop? Probably talking about the laptop.
proof about the Russia collusion.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of proof about the Russia collusion. That has been proven over and over.
Put America through this. And then you also have
America through this? What? What are we talking about, Kevin McCarthy?
Another member on there, Raskin. Remember what he did?
What?
Between Trump being elected and before he sworn in,
he said he should be impeached, and he was right.
A rally to say Trump needs to be impeached.
Yeah.
This is just the continuation.
Right, and you've got people in your party right now who are saying as soon as you guys take the House, you're going to impeach the Biden. Haven't said for what, but yeah, you got people in your party doing that too. And again, you could have 5 of your people on the committee.
They're obsessed with Trump, and this is all they want to do. But this hearsay would never be allowed in the court of law.
Okay, it's not a court of law, and most of it is not hearsay. The vast majority of it, not hearsay.
And now you've got the agents. The agents have already testified to this committee, not once, but twice. And it's not just that. Remember when they put up, I saw yesterday, they put up a handwritten note, and they asked Cassidy, did you?
All in caps. The Chiron says, Schiff's star witness has nothing. Is that a quote from him, or is this just one of your guys thinks that's what is being said?
You write this note? Yes, I did. Well, they told us prior, no, she didn't write the note. The attorney in the White House wrote that note. And he came out and said, yes.
I don't remember them saying that prior.
That's the case, too. So Liz Cheney knew that because she.
The note that was written on Mark Meadows' stationery, is that the note that we're talking about? I didn't even see the point of that note, but all right. Or maybe they're saying they brought her out to say that is my handwriting to discount Howard Hamlin. I don't know.
Already told us that and portrayed this to be something different.
Did what?
Well, they told us prior, no, she didn't write the note. The attorney in the White House wrote that note.
The attorney in the White House. He doesn't have a name?
And he came out and said, yes, that's the case too. So Liz Cheney knew that because she already told us that and portrayed this to be something.
Portrayed it? Not sure what that is. Is this like, if you portray something that POTUS does, it's portraying it? It's hard to say. Try it at home. Portray.
Something different yesterday.
So what are you guys going to do when you get in there after?
Do you serve? I can't even do it. Do you serve potpourri on a pot tray?
November, you're sworn in the next year. Are we going to follow up on this? I mean, did she perjure herself? Are you going to investigate how this all went down? And what else could you possibly subpoena out of this White House? You guys are going to run out of paper.
Look, we're already sending the letters out there on all sorts of things. Why did the Attorney General go after parents? Why don't we know where COVID...
Not really germane to this, but yeah, if parents threaten public officials, then that's the job.
Actually originated from.
That's a good one.
So we have more.
What did COVID actually originate from?
Out of this White House, you guys
that would be where?
Run out of paper.
Look, we're already sending the letters out there on all sorts of things. Why did the Attorney General go after parents? Why don't we know where COVID actually originated from?
That's okay. So he got that right. Why don't we know where COVID actually originated from? You could just say originated and not have to end the sentence with the preposition. But sure, yeah, would have worked just as well. But a lot of people do that. They like throwing the at or the from. People in the South do that all the time. And of course, you're from Bakersfield, California. But okay.
a good one.
So we have more than 500 letters because we're prepared. But you know what the very first thing we're going to do?
What do you mean we're prepared? You have more than 500 letters, so you're prepared? All right. What do you can send those letters anytime.
We're going to lower the price of gasoline. We're going to make us energy independent.
Okay, we are, by your definition, we're already energy independent. We talked about that earlier. How are you going to lower the price of gasoline? Are you going to participate in the gas tax holiday? Because we'd love for you to do that. That's an idea that's out there right now, and you're part of Congress, and you can say, yeah, let's vote on that.
We're going to secure the border so our children won't be being killed by the fentanyl that's coming across it. Or there won't.
Our children won't be being killed by the fentanyl. It's fentanyl, but okay.
Won't be another 51 people in the back of a trailer for human trafficking.
Well, if you secure the border even tighter, then that will keep happening, just as it did under Trump. Trump lost people that way. Biden loses people that way. If there was an open border, that Kevin McCarthy keeps saying that there is, if there was an open border, there would be absolutely no reason for people to crowd into a truck and go across the border. A wall wouldn't have prevented. You could build the wall, the entire wall that you wanted, the 500 miles. The people didn't come across at a place where there would be wall, even if the wall was completed. They came across through a regular border crossing. I've got a better idea. Why not vote through the budget that has the increased funding for the border guards so they can do more inspections on the trucks? That would have solved the problem. Those people would have been discovered at the border and not perished in the back of the truck.
We're going to make sure that parents have a Bill of Rights so they have a say in their kids' education. We're going to make our streets safe again. But at the same
You're welcome to.
Same time, we're going to hold this administration accountable. And we're going to look into all of this that's happening because this is wrong. But we're not going to do what the Democrats did, right? Where they totally put a system where they don't let the minority ever appoint. They've never allowed that before. They'll be on the committee because they'll be appalled at what went on with this administration.
Good, because COVID.
Okay, but you had the opportunity to nominate 5 people. You did. 3 of them were accepted. They said, give us 2 others that aren't suspects. You didn't. I'm taking the other 3 back as well. That's on you, Kevin.
COVID killed 1 million Americans, and they're not even investigating it.
Nope.
They're investigating here.
No, it's been investigated multiple times.
Per se. And that has to stop.
We'll have late night shows on how we end inflation, how we become energy independent, how we secure our border, how we...
Wait, they're going to have late night shows on how to do all of this? Like Stephen Colbert? Like, what are you talking about? I want to see these late night shows. Are they going to be infomercials? And why not let us know now?
End the crime, and we make the next century ours.
Speaking of late night shows, when are we going to see them?
We're already in this century. Can we do something now about this one? Can you have some late night shows on 2022? What? We're going to have late night shows. Woo! So for people with insomnia? Marcy, they're going to have shows for you. The Republicans are going to have shows with like musical guests and stupid pet tricks. It's going to be great. What? Has anyone heard this? Is this out there in the ether that the Republicans are planning a series of late night shows?
Mugshots from the Colbert 7, the insurrectionists and the little puppet.
Now, look,
are we going to get some video of them trying to bash through the door?
You know the hard part is they showed on January 6th video from when in my office, but then the video of the other office in the hallway, they said they can't find it.
No, they can't find
the other office in the hallway? Are you talking about a video of the people from the Colbert Report wandering the halls of the Capitol? I actually haven't seen that either. I don't know. But again, they weren't trying to overthrow the government, so that's one thing.
They can't find the Colbert, but they could find the January 6th video.
They're never going to find it. Yeah. It's gone. Like Hillary's emails, just gone.
But you know what? The Capitol Police did a very good job that day. They were already kicked out in the afternoon, and then they got let back in. You know who let them back in? A former Schiff staff.
Of course. You know,
it's a Schiff. His name is Adam Schiff. We learned that earlier, remember?
He's got his fingerprints on everything, and they're filthy because we know what he likes.
But I'll promise you this. When I'm Speaker.
Going to have late night shows?
He will not be on the Intel Committee anymore. And you know what else?
Whoa, 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 whoa. You just got done saying that we've never been able to not appoint people to committees. And now you're going to kick somebody off a committee?
Swalwell won't either. I don't know if this
Eric Swalwell
is a high bar, but if you have a relations with a Chinese spy.
If you have a relations with a Chinese spy. Are you trying to make fun of Chinese people and their accents by saying it that way? And it would just, you drop the S, by the way. It would just be if you have a relation with a Chinese spy. If you really want to be racist about it, Kevin. Here's the thing. He didn't have relations. The connotation of relations is a sexual relationship. He did not have relations with the Chinese spy. There is absolutely zero evidence of that. Doesn't seem to be a lot of turmoil within the marriage. She worked for him as a staffer. And once the FBI said, hey, we think she might be a Chinese spy, that was it. It was done.
You shouldn't be allowed to be on the Intel Committee.
Bottom line.
You know, we're going to raise the bar.
Let's do it. Congressman, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, I can't wait for those late night shows. Speaking of late night, let's take a quick look and see what happened with the early night shows, or the late night shows if you're here on the West Coast, or the middle of the night shows if you're Marcy. Let's just see what Fox and Friends had to say today. See what the top story was. See if you guys can guess. I was not awake for it. I'm still on the West Coast, and that's still too early for me. So they usually start off with a song. We'll skip by that. See what the top story is. It's going to be inflation. By the way, huge accomplishment for Biden on the trip right now. Turkey had objected. Turkey's kind of a NATO member, but also an outlier, both physically and in terms of how they handle business. Erdogan, not a favorite in terms of he's pretty much a dictator. And it's also an Islamic country within NATO. Sweden and Finland have been thinking about, ever since Russia invaded, becoming part of NATO. Turkey objected. They can't get in if Turkey objects. Biden called up Turkey, had a conversation with Erdogan, said, hey, how about we drop this? And they did. Huge accomplishment by Biden. This has now been months that Turkey's been saying, no, we are going to object them, and that would blackball them from joining NATO. They could not join NATO if one NATO country objects to them. Montenegro, not so much an issue. But with Turkey, they had to get Turkey's approval. What did it take? A phone call from Joe Biden. Let's see what's going on with our Fox and Friends. Or not. It's always anticlimactic. There we go. Get past that.
State response.
Go get past that.
I just knew what to do.
Okay, keep going. Get past the song. Oh, wait. I see. Hold on. I saw that.
John Isner, unbreakable.
Wait, let's see.
Bring into action.
So John Isner in Wimbledon played Andy Murray, who's the British favorite, the last British champion in tennis. And this is in Wimbledon, which is in London, which is also where producer JoJo is, or so she claims. Let's see what happened there.
When an Amtrak train plowed into a
horrible tragedy.
Dump truck Monday.
We were just getting people out windows and carrying them down. I had to carry a couple kids in my arms.
What a way to finish! John Isner, unbreakable and brilliant, breaks British hearts, beats Murray for the first time.
Okay, so yeah, that was just the end of the match. Wasn't a spectacular shot or anything. But yeah, so Isner beat Murray. Murray is close to retirement. Murray's best days are behind him, and people were cheering for Murray. I mean, it's in Britain. That's his home country. People, I had hoped Murray would go through a little bit. My sound is wonky. I'm sorry. I don't know what I can do about that. Let's get past the opening song and see what the lead story is on Fox.
4th of July, we're going to tell you a little later on about
Okay, we got to jump just a little bit ahead to get rid of that song so we don't get a copyright strike.
Story out today that apparently they're warning people here in the Northeast about great white sharks heading our way.
Right. Oh, there's a real story. Sharks. I'm not even being sarcastic. I am terrible of sharks. Terrible of sharks. It's a Kevin thing. We just don't use the words 4 relation.
So
in a group.
So you need a bigger boat.
Right.
Maybe you should
a lot of big boats. Just don't go in the water.
Boycott not the 4th of July, but just getting in the ocean
Boycott
with
the ocean.
great white
Agreed.
sharks.
After
Agreed.
Jaws came out,
If the judges were here, they would agree.
really changed our thought process as we walk in the water.
The sharks were here first.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really, and they don't
We're
come on
invading
land.
their
So this is
territory.
their crib.
Right, yeah, I mean, we're going.
I, for the first time in my life, I 100% agree with Brian Kilmeade.
In there, we're going in water where they are, and we're mad at them. What are we mad at
That's their house.
them for?
I heard when they take a bite out of you, they don't like the way it tastes, though.
Right.
I don't want to
They
find
think
out.
you're something else.
Oh, that makes it okay then.
Just know that if a shark starts to bite you, you're supposed to punch it in the nose.
That's right.
It doesn't work. Go for the eyes. That's the only chance you have is gouge the eyes.
Right.
That's right.
And luckily sharks are designed to like roll everything back, so it makes it really difficult to get at them. So hopefully they don't bite both arms at the same time.
I would be screaming too loud. Anyway, thank you very much.
Land shark. Candy Graham.
For joining us on this Thursday before the 4th of July. In the meantime, the Biden administration being pressed to take action on our southern border in the wake of that horrific.
They actually do have land sharks, and they're called bears.
18-wheeler tragedy in San Antonio.
Yeah, the death toll has gone up. It's now 53.
Okay, so their lead story is the death of the 53 migrants trapped in that trailer being smuggled across the border because the border is not open. And because we haven't done anything to improve immigration policy for workers that we desperately need. We have never had more open jobs in this country, and it is strangling our economy.
Migrants died as a result.
And man, when you find about this driver on meth, unbelievable series of events and arrests. Mark Meredith joins us live from Washington as Texas Governor Greg Abbott demands President Biden do something to stop the loss of life. Mark.
Brian Ainsley and Steve, good morning to you guys. Texas officials, including Governor Greg Abbott, are vowing to make some changes following this tragedy, which has been called the deadliest smuggling operation ever in the U.S. Federal investigators are still trying to piece together exactly what happened and where each of the 53 migrants who died came from. A total of 67 people were found in the back of a tractor trailer in close to 100-degree heat. On Wednesday, Governor Abbott vowed to step up security. He says Texas is going to be increasing checkpoints to ensure similar smuggling operations are disrupted, but he says Texas can't do it alone.
Deaths could be prevented if Biden simply fully funded the Border Patrol operation of the United States of America.
Yeah, so have the Republicans stop blocking the budget. Have them stop blocking the money. Stop complaining that all this extra money in the economy is contributing to inflation if you won't even let them fund the border properly.
Joe Biden may not be stepping up to make sure it doesn't happen again, but Texas is going to step up and do our part.
Please do. You're welcome to. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, they shut down the border with extra inspections and then decided not to do it anymore because it was just, all they could do was like look at the tires, check the tire pressure. It just delayed things and increased inflation. But yeah, go ahead, do it. Put more funding. You're welcome to send some of your money to the CBP. I don't know how that can be done technically. It's probably a way to do it.
Biden administration.
I mean, you can certainly do training.
Says it's already doing everything possible to prevent smuggling and human trafficking, but Vice President Kamala Harris is now accusing Governor Abbott of politicizing this tragedy. Harris herself has come under repeated criticism for not doing more to address border security issues. Later today, the man accused of driving the truck is expected to have his first court appearance. The 45-year-old Texas native has been charged with smuggling resulting in death, and police say when he was arrested, the suspect was allegedly high on meth. Steve, Ainsley, and Brian, back to you.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. And the driver does face the death penalty. He was apparently trying to pretend he was one of the victims.
Hiding in a bush.
Yeah, and they've also arrested Christian Martinez. He was arrested in another part of the state. Apparently, he's been charged with conspiracy. He'd been communicating with the driver presumably via text, about transporting migrants. He also faces the death penalty if convicted. And then 2 others were actually found at the San Antonio address where that truck was registered.
There he is at the checkpoint.
Yeah, that's the driver who was found high on meth. The 2 others found at that San Antonio address where the truck was registered have been charged with possession of a weapon by an alien illegally in the United States. So they are all in very deep, hot water.
Yeah, there's a big problem, obviously, down there at the border. And the border czar is our vice president. She went down to the border for, what, 20 minutes maybe on her way to California. That's the only time she's been down there. Our president, when he was a senator, when he was a vice president, now he's president, has not been down there at all. And she had the gall, Kamala Harris, to lash out at the governor down there who says, y'all are all in Washington. You're hearing that we have this problem. You're not down here doing anything. I have to do everything. And she lashes out at him. Listen to this.
How the governor of that state responded really highlights part of the problem, because his response, where there are 50 dead bodies in his state, is to go straight to politics instead of dealing with the realities of the issue. We also
Yeah, that was Rusty. I'm in the Rusty Bed Studios right now.
need to take seriously the fact that we have a broken immigration system that was decimated by the last administration. And we've been trying to, and we are on the path doing it, to fix that broken system.
Yeah.
Okay. What was wrong with that? What do we agree with that about?
This is the governor playing politics. You don't build the wall. You don't provide any security.
Wall wouldn't have stopped this at all.
I have to use the
there are lots of security provided.
The Texas Rangers. I have to use my own National Guard. I have to build my own wall.
There is Customs and Border Patrol there. And the Biden administration has been trying to increase funding, and all the Republicans doing are blocking it because we can't spend any more money.
I can't get my Border Patrol to watch the border because all they do is process your illegals, because you have not cracked down on Central and South America. You have not going to put leverage onto Mexico to back up their southern border. You have not enforced Title 42. You have not put the remaining...
No, they did enforce Title 42 until Title 42 was ended by the CDC.
Mexico in place, even though a judge stayed the order.
Okay, but the Supreme Court just overthrew that this morning. So bad timing, Brian.
The Supreme Court should make it actually uphold it today. That decision could come out in a matter.
They didn't.
Matter of hours. That's not politics. That's reality. She is not.
Well, the reality is that the Supreme Court just overturned it. So, sorry.
Not in reality. She rarely visits it. Here's the Texas governor.
I forgot that Kamala Harris was the border czar. To my knowledge, she has not said anything about the border this entire year. And the first thing that she says is to...
I can't fact check that.
Criticize the one governor who's done more to secure the border than any other governor in America. And so while she and Joe Biden continue to twiddle their thumbs and do absolutely nothing to even solve this catastrophe that took place just this week, it was me and Texas on the ground on the border today where I was announcing initiatives about what Texas is going to do to try to do Biden's job of making sure that we're going to do a better job as a country to prevent truckers from transporting and smuggling migrants.
Right. And by the way, she's playing politics when she comes out and says it was Donald Trump who broke the border. Oh, are you kidding me? They actually secured the border. Go ask the Border Patrol.
No, the border's never been secured. It's 2,000 miles long. About 470-ish miles of wall were eventually built. It's not secured. Obviously, it's not secured. No one has taken the wall down. The wall, by the way, has been breached more than 3,000 times. You can just cut through the wall. And it has been done over and over and over again. You can go on Google right now and find pictures of the walls where it's been repaired. Very obviously, because people can just cut through it.
Show of hands of where the border was effectively shut or not. Under her tutelage, 239...
Tutelage? Under her tutelage? That is not the word you're trying to use.
9,000 came through illegally in May, and 1.563 million have come here already this year. And lastly, they're calling this a Uvalde moment. Dick Durbin says maybe, where he reached out to Tom Tillis and said, maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do the immigration like we did guns. To me, you can't even talk about reforming the system unless you secure the border. That's got to.
No, you should absolutely talk about reforming the system. It'd be a good time to do it. If you had an immigration system that would allow the workers in, they wouldn't have to crowd themselves into trailers, pay the cartels thousands of dollars, and die.
Come next.
Well, what the governor was talking to the reporters about, saying what he was doing with the initiative in Texas, is the governor said that state.
By the way, the wall doesn't stop drugs. You can hand drugs through the fence. Here you go. There's a whole bunch of pills. That's enough fentanyl to kill 1,000 people in my hand.
Rangers, the Texas Rangers, would set up more truck checkpoints on highways. Keep in mind, it was back in April when the governor pretty much gridlocked the entire Texas border because he required every truck coming in extra screening.
But they couldn't look inside the trucks.
Obviously, that truck right there had been cloned to look like something else. But, you know, if Kamala Harris is...
I don't know what that means.
In charge of root causes. Let me explain the root cause.
Okay.
The reason this is going on is because, first of all, they can get away with it. And the reason the cartels are doing it, the root cause is money. Because the migrants generally pay...
No, that's not. That's part of the symptoms. The root cause is why the people are coming here. That's the root cause.
About $10,000 to be...
So the problem is money. We need to get rid of money. And that'll solve everything.
Smuggled across.
Steve, sometimes you say things that make sense. It's not one of those times.
The border and then put into a truck like this and moved up to and dumped off in San Antonio, where they get onto smaller trucks and go across the country. There were 100 people in that truck. Each one of them paid $10,000. Do the math. That is $1 million. And that's why those people who were driving and coordinating were doing it for the money and because this administration has allowed this to happen.
And that's why the governor now has to set up this new...
They haven't allowed it. They are trying to stop it. If they were just allowing things like this to happen, they wouldn't happen because there wouldn't be a need for them.
System where they're having additional checkpoints for any truck that comes across the border. They're having these strike teams. Each team's going to consist of 20 troopers, and they will really look at these trucks and make sure that this doesn't happen again. They're going to...
Great. Why don't we have the X-ray machines at every single border crossing?
To try their best. In addition, the National Guard is also taking immediate action. The lieutenant governor said closed means no one is coming in. The doors are shut. But he says in this case, last month, we broke another record. In May, it was the highest record of apprehensions, 239,416. Meanwhile, the White House says the borders are closed. He says if they're closed, then why do we have...
No, the White House doesn't say the borders are closed. Nobody in the White House has said the borders are closed.
So many apprehensions. Why are we...
You don't close the border. You keep it open. But they're not open borders. In other words, anybody can come in anytime they want to. There's just the language doesn't work for these people.
Hitting record numbers. 6:11 here on the East Coast. And coming up, a young mother pushing a stroller is shot.
Yeah, I don't even want to hear about that. Violent crime in New York, by the way, down. Regardless of what you hear about the crime wave, et cetera, violent crime in New York is